Welcome to the first ever show for 256 Sports, also known as 2v6 Sports. This is your host, Eric Couch, aka Bama Bass, aka Old Whiskey 78, depending on what you know me from. If you know me from the Twitter platform, if you know me in real life, also if you know me from my gaming channel. Welcome to our first ever show. This is going to be our first ever video / podcast. I wanted to, first of all, I wanted to welcome everybody to the show. I'm glad you're with us. I'm going to give you a little background into, whenever you want to do a video, when you want to put your phone on silent. Sorry about that. The kiddos. Anyway, I started 2v6 Studios back last year as a way to, post pictures and videos and highlights and whatnot. Photography and videography is one of my biggest passions. That's what I would like to do, in life. The sports side of it started because the school that my kids go to, Cornerstone Christian Academy, the local media really doesn't cover our school. I mean, around here in this part of Alabama, high school football is king, and we haven't had football. This is our first year having football, and it's not traditional 11-man football. It's 6-man football, and there's a little bit of difference there. We'll get into that later in the show, but it seems like we didn't get any coverage. Like in our prior sports, our JV girls, matter of fact, for example, in the 2017-2018 school year, we won Alabama Christian Athletic Association State Championship. Went undefeated through the year, won the state championship. And from that whole season, the only articles that were written by the local media was written by me. So, that's kind of, I understand, we're a small school. We're not like the county and city schools in our area, but we're still a part of the community. And so, it kind of hurt not seeing our kids get any recognition for the, accomplishments, because in the 2016-2017 school year, our JV girls finished second in the state. So we had back-to-back trips to the Final Four, and neither one of them was covered other than what articles was in the paper was written by me. But it was always staff, staff reporter, or the person that's in charge of sports put their name on it. So, with that said, I went ahead and, this year I was like, this is a historic day. We had WH&T 19 out of Huntsville. They come out and covered our first ever pep rally. They interviewed some of the kids, some of the players and whatnot. So that was a big deal. Local media, not so much. So I was like, all right. So I bought the domain, built the site. It's still a work in progress. It's not much. Basically, it's nothing more than a blog right now, but, you got to start somewhere. So, my initial thoughts on it was to start full blast and just start covering the football games, covering our volleyball games, but there's just been so many games, and I also video the games for the school, do good game film for the school. So, commenting. I did better this last game. I was using my Twitter instead of using the 2v6. So anyway, long story short, that's how 2v6 come about. again, we're a part of the ACAA, which is the Alabama Christian Athletic Association. I'll give you a little background on that. The association, Alabama Christian Education Association, started sponsoring sports in 1997, which makes it the longest running high school Christian sports program in Alabama. And so, you know, they've changed the name in the 90s to the Alabama Christian Education Athletic Association. Sorry, I'm reading from their website. And then now they changed the name to the ACAA, which is a little better, you know, a little easier to keep up with. Right now, the sports offered through the association is archery, baseball, basketball, cheerleading, cross country, golf, soccer, softball, track and field, volleyball. Now the football is played under CFA, which is the Christian Football Association. It's just an offshoot of the ACAA. It's its own, I guess you could say, its own entity, so to speak. You know, I'll have links to the websites here. You know, the CFA has 2 divisions, so to speak. You've got a 8-man team and 6-man team football. On the 8-man side, I'm trying to get the website to pull up here. It's a little slow. Now, on 8-man, you have 6 teams, and these are some of the larger schools that have been around a little longer. Some of the founding members of the association play 8-man. I'm going to post. We'll have some of the scores up here too. I mean, you know, there's pretty competitive games here. Looks like, you know, as you can see here, the teams are East Memorial, New Life, Russell, Tabernacle, Tuscaloosa, and Victory. Would be Victory Christian, Columbus, Mississippi. So we've got a Mississippi school in our Alabama association. It's kind of, but it looks like right now, pretty competitive. I mean, just looking at some of the score, you know, scanning some of the scores here. I don't really know much about. The only schools I know anything about in this group is Tabernacle, because we've played them in volleyball and basketball. You know, our JV girls have beat them every time they've played them. When we first started in the ACAA, we were Division II, but then they bumped us up to Division I last year, so we started playing Tabernacle. So moving on, we're going to move back over here to the, and we'll come back to the 8-man later on in our future episodes. We'll try to get some interviews with the coaches and whatnot. So let's go back over here to the 6-man. And it should be pulling up on your screen now, the 6-man football. As you can see, we've got 7 teams on the schedule. We did have more, but a couple of the schools dropped out, so it's really opened up the schedule for Cornerstone, as you can see, and it pretty much gave us an off week before every game, which really, I think, really helped, especially in the last game against Marshall. It gave the coaches an extra week to work with the kids in addition to game week. You know, any extra time you have with the kids, it really helps. So we'll go over some of the scores here. Looks like week 1, Brookline defeated Marshall 59-40. I think that's wrong. I think that was Marshall that defeated Brookline. Brookline is defending state champions. Chilton Christian beat Clay County Christian 24-20. Of course, Cornerstone was off, so Conecuh was off, and Victory Christian, they were off also. Moving on to week 2, this was games played the week of August the 24th. This is interesting because Marshall plays all their games on Thursday. I guess they did that so they could get more of the crowd in. I'm not really sure. They're in the Albertville area, and they play their home games in Guntersville, so they're competing with Albertville and Guntersville Boaz. So anyway, back onto those scores. That was our first ever game. We played Chilton. We hosted them. Our boys were up 18-0 at halftime. It was a great game. We thought, wow, we're competing with an established school. And then the second half come around and Chilton put 40 on us. And this score, when I first seen it, I was like, this can't be right. This has got to be a misprint. That same week, Marshall Christian hosted, let's see, they host Conecuh. I'll have to look at the schedule and see. But anyway, Conecuh beat them 97-52. That's right, 97-52. It's hard to imagine because these quarters they're 10-minute quarters, and it's hard to imagine 97 points in 40 minutes. I mean, that's just crazy. You're looking at it's crazy. I mean, that's a crazy score. So moving on to week 3, which was this past week, of course. Week before last. Cornerstone had an off week. Conecuh defeated Brookline 37-6. Victory shut out Chilton 55-0. And of course we were off. Marshall was off also, so that gave them a week in game week to prepare for us. Week 4, which is games played on September 6th and 7th. Chilton defeated Brookline 44-13. And Victory defeated Conecuh 46-0. And of course, this game was decided with 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. It really was. It was 30-32. It was Cornerstone come in at the first of the fourth quarter, leading 20-19. And it was back and forth. With 2 minutes to go in the game, it was 32-26, Marshall. And they pulled out the win, 39-26. We forced a fumble late, but with 3 seconds left, coach decided to kneel and go to the house. It was a tough game for the boys. You could tell they really wanted it, but Marshall has a very good running back. It's number 4, Noah Williams. He amassed over 300 yards of offense in that game, over 400 yards of offense in that game. And he had almost 12 tackles, 11.5 tackles, I think 4 for loss and 3 forced fumbles, and he had 6 touchdowns. He scored all their points. So looking up right now, it looks as if we got a 3-way tie for first right now as far as far as that goes. I mean, I wouldn't say three-way. You got Victory undefeated. They're 2-0. They haven't had a point scored on them yet. They're going to be tough. We play them week 8. It's at home, but man, they seem like they're going to be tough. I mean, they haven't gave up any points. Chilton, their only loss was to Victory, so they're sitting at 3-1. So technically, I would say, you know, they're going to be second because Victory beat them. You know, they got more wins, but Victory's got the tie break. And then Marshall would come in, I guess, third because they lost to, who did they lose? They lost to Conecuh. Well, maybe maybe Marshall's third and Conecuh's fourth. Anyway, right now it really doesn't matter because it's week 5. The playoffs don't start until, you know, later on in the. We still got 6 weeks of football to go, so let's look forward to week 5. You've got Brook Lane hosting Victory. And here at Chilton it says at Marion, but I don't think that game's going to happen because I believe Marion called their season off. And then Clay is going to be at Conecuh. Cornerstone has this week off. Marshall has this week off. So there's only, I don't think that Marion game's going to happen. So there's only 3 games going this week. There's none of them close that we can go watch, so we're not going to venture off and watch any football. Now, week 6, you've got Chilton at Conecuh. Clay comes to our place for homecoming. And Marshall's going to Victory. So we'll talk more about that in our next episode this weekend as far as next week's games go. That's kind of a little rundown on how our football season are going. So I was talking about playoffs a minute ago as far as the playoffs for our CFA season goes. Since this is our first year, our team is under probation for the first year. We cannot go to the playoffs, which right now we're sitting, you know, we're 0-2 right now. But anyway, we couldn't go to the playoffs anyway. So, oh yeah, I forgot our JV boys picked up a win last night against Trinity Christian. I think the score was 40-14. Those boys have been playing hard. They've played Brook Lane twice and got a couple of losses under their belt, but that's technically the first ever football win for a Cornerstone team. So that's good for them boys. They got the win and a historic win, and we count it as their first ever, the school's first ever football win. So, other than today being a somber, historic day, of course, with the 9/11 attacks, I don't really want to get into that. We all know what that's about. We all know, what happened that day. Still, I remember everything like it was yesterday. I was 23 years old. I was a truck mechanic. I didn't do much work that day. We was kind of glued to the radio trying to, listen to see what happened next, wondering, we're as close as we are to Redstone Arsenal and, at the time Anniston, we're kind of sandwiched between, a couple of high-profile bases there, and not to mention we got nuclear plant just right down the road, even though it's never been active. It's still a nuclear plant, and got nuclear plants up in Chattanooga. So it was all kind of on edge. But yeah, that's something we'll all never forget. Especially if you were alive during that time, you'll never forget that. That's just something that's engraved in your memory. But yeah. So anyway, getting back to sports. This season I really wasn't gonna put much stock into Alabama football this year. I mean, I really wasn't. I was more excited about my daughter playing travel basketball. This was her first year ever jumping into a real travel team, travel season. She played with a team called the Alabama Avatars out of Huntsville, Alabama. So that meant that we had to travel twice a week all the way to Huntsville. If you know anything about Huntsville, we were traveling down around Whitesburg to the Fernbell Rec Center twice a week from our house, which is about an hour and 10 minutes. So it's a pretty good trip. She played from early March till right at the cutoff. We played in that tournament in Atlanta, the national championship tournament, and it was the 27th through the 30th, 29th, 30th. So July, I mean, she was getting it. She learned a lot. It's just their basketball season starts practice, I think it starts officially October the 12th. So, we got a little under a month to go before practice can even start. And then the first games will be around the 1st of November. They usually do the Tiger, they call it Tiger Tourney, Tiger Jam, something. The school over in Decatur in our association always holds the event. So, once that stopped, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I did not keep up with any Alabama stuff over the summer. I just, as soon as the national championship was over, I got tired of hearing about who the quarterback was going to be, and that was all everybody was talking about. So, I didn't even get on Twitter. If I was posting on Twitter, I'd post it over to Instagram, so it'd post on Twitter, so I didn't have to go on there. But I started reading up some, before the Louisville game, and it's funny, we were in Louisville for the Battle of the Borough, and we were right there at the Kentucky Exposition Center, which is pretty much next door to Papa John's Stadium there, and we took some pictures of the Yum Center and all that while we were in Louisville. And of course, I didn't get to go up there and give them a big roll tide or anything. We were so busy with that travel ball. But anyway, of course, I love Alabama. I mean, I've been an Alabama fan since I was a little bitty kid. It's not like that's the fact I can hide. If you follow me long enough on Twitter and YouTube, you know that I'm a diehard Alabama fan. It was just the fact that I got so tired of hearing about if it's Tua or Jalen, who's it going to be. I just really lost interest in keeping up with the talking heads and everything. So, but of course, that first game, I was glad they pounded Louisville like they did. Pretty much expected them to beat Arkansas State. Alabama, you never know. I guess we'll find out this weekend just how good the Tide really is when they play Ole Miss. I don't get my hopes built up too much like I did in the past. You go back and read, watch some of my old YouTube videos. Wow.
overtime for a berth in the SEC championship, national championship. The whole season rides on this overtime. Let's go see what happens. Well, here it goes. I was afraid of this. Last play of the game. We need a miracle right here.
Again, it's going to be Propel, wing, and the kicker, Drew Alamo. LSU.
Like I said, I hope this thing don't come into overtime for a kicker. And what did I say? Oh. That's all right though. Tough loss. Good game.
Get tore up over this stuff. I'm too old to get tore up over Alabama football now, but all right. This has been a good first video. I appreciate you checking it out, and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, give us a follow on the Twitter. At 2v6 Sports. You can follow me on my personal account at Bama Bass. Instagram's at Bama Bass 78. Don't forget our website, www.2v6sports.com. And as always, go Eagles and roll Tide. See ya.